everybody. Whew, having a busy day. We got lots on the go today. Taking advantage of this snowless landscape to start splitting more of our firewood for next year and the year after. But this morning, well, actually yesterday, I started something very exciting, completely new to me. Am I yelling? Got my ear mufflers on. Yeah, completely new to me, but something I've wanted to do for like 4 or 5 years now, maybe longer. I'm gonna try and make sourdough. So I'm coming in. Oh, it's not ready. I can see that. Let me just come in. Let me show you. Let me just show you what I've got going on. Okay. It's brisk out there. It's not super cold. All right. This is my sourdough starter that I got from my friend Wally. So I named it Wally. And this morning I did a feed. That one is for my friends Ryan and Andrea. But this one is for my first loaf of sourdough. And I'm actually not sure. I think I gotta leave it a little bit more. Okay, I just sent a picture of my starter Wally, named after my sourdough mentor. And he said, in these words exactly, "Let her rip, tater chip," which means it's ready to make my first loaf of sourdough bread. Why am I telling you all this? I'm sure you're asking, because there are a lot of people in the homesteading world that make sourdough every day, that have perfected the sourdough process. I'm overheating, so I must shed a few layers. Uno momento. Oh my gosh, I'm hot. Okay. Oh, but it smells so good. There's nothing like the smell of like 2-stroke engine oil, 2-stroke, whatever, you know, and sawdust and wood. It smells so good. It's my favorite job. Okay, so why am I telling you all this? Because I have been on a journey of self-discovery. That sounds corny, I know, but really in this last year, well, mostly like 3/4 of a year, I started like last spring, to really learn to love the F word. And not that F word, although I do love it and use it quite often off camera. The F word for me is failure. So somewhere in my life growing up, I learned that failure was not acceptable and not a good thing, which is very, very damaging for people in general. And this is a skill that one should learn early in their lives. So if you are a parent watching of young children, please teach them and foster a love of failure, because you cannot learn any other way. And I am experiencing this right now as I go through this process of learning to make sourdough, like bread, for crying out loud. I have a bread maker right in front of me that I could use and I know would make the perfect loaf of bread. And I am so still concerned about making a bad loaf of sourdough bread. Like, it's ridiculous. But it all to say that it's something that I've really had to work on, and not being afraid to do things because I may not be successful. And knowing, also learning to know that also, if I'm not successful, it's no big deal. You try again in a different way in hopes that you will be successful. And eventually, if you keep doing this, you will be successful. And also not to give up if it doesn't go well the first time. And so I actually this morning and last night have been texting Wally about Wally to make sure that I didn't fail. And really, that's okay, because I'm learning and I need help. And that's something else that I've really been working on this year, is accepting the fact that I do need help. So let me turn a light on. I did buy one of those ringy things, those light rings, but I just find like I'm far more like that. I like to be spontaneous when I do this kind of thing. And I honestly have been thinking about making this video and leaving this message, but I didn't have anything to show or to do. And now I do. And this process actually is really teaching me about research and learning. I bet you if I had timed or like kept track of the number of hours that I have spent watching videos on how to make sourdough, and I'm not lying, I've probably watched 10 hours or more total. And I've dreamed about buying all the sourdough making equipment and getting the perfect starter. And finally, everything kind of came together. So here goes nothing. Really, here goes nothing. I am going to bring you along for this process. I am not the person to be following for how to make sourdough at all. But what I hope to show you is that, and I've never done this before, never, ever, is that the stakes are quite low. Worst case, I have like a rock hard piece of something. But just that you just have to do it. And through the process of doing it over and over again, eventually you are going to have success. And so maybe one day I'll be able to make a video on how to make sourdough. But in the meantime, I'm going to make a video on how to embrace failure. And of course, I am no expert because I'm feeling anxiety about making a loaf of sourdough. But the message is that there are ways to start to learn about how not to feel overwhelmed by even simple challenges like making a loaf of sourdough. I gotta go let my dog in. So one of the challenges that I have had in making sourdough is the amount of time that is required for this process. It is very time consuming, and actually the reason why I bought a bread maker over a year ago, because bread making is literally dump the stuff in, push some buttons, wait 3 hours, and you have a loaf of bread. And so in those 3 hours, I would go outside, usually garden, split wood, I don't know, do whatever I wanted. This process though requires more hands-on time and to be kind of at home for a longer period of time. And so I've started... Are you serious? First of all, we don't throw frisbees in the house. I've just been throwing a frisbee with you for 2 hours. No. Okay, I'll let you back out. You can go outside. Wow. Okay. So I have been thinking about how I'm going to work this into my everyday life because my weekends, I'm really busy. We usually are busy outside, either here or in the wintertime, we like to go ice fishing or go away. And so usually though, on weekends, especially in the winter, I'm working. So I'm usually marking or doing some kind of course prep one day. So that will be the day that I feed the starter and make the bread. And then the next morning before we go anywhere, I'm gonna have to get up, preheat the oven and bake the loaf. And that I'm hoping is going to be my process. But see, like I've committed so much mental energy to figuring this out instead of just doing it for years. And so today is the day to get going. Okay, so let me talk while doing this. I better wash my hands. Step one. I am so excited about this. Okay. So for sourdough, you have to measure all of your things. I have to put my goggles on. My eyes are getting awful. Okay, so my friend Wally, who gave me this, gave me also this instructions, which I thought were very comprehensive, but my brain generated way more questions than what this sheet said. I am sure it is this simple, but thank you for your patience, Wally. We were on our way home from a friend of ours' birthday, and Brian bought me at an antique store this beautiful bowl. So this, at the time I didn't know it, but then it dawned on me, is going to be my sourdough bowl. So I'm very excited about that. I have this old scale that my friend Joanna gave me. I might have to upgrade because I'm not sure if it's going to be, this is going to be too heavy for it. So we'll see here in a minute. So that's what it looks like. Look at all those beautiful bubbles. That's how you know it's going to be a good leavening agent. I am feeling so super giddy about this right now. Like I'm like, oh, I'm making my first loaf of sourdough. I'm so excited. 125 grams. Oh, it's so fluffy. It's amazing. Okay, how much is 125? This part I find very difficult because I don't know how much this stuff weighs. Ooh, a lot of flour. No way. My scale. This is too much for my scale. Okay. What do I do? What do I do here? A lighter. We need something lighter. Don't panic. Don't panic. Okay. We're gonna do something lighter and we're gonna transfer the contents, add it all up. Good night. So we know that's not gonna work. We need a better kitchen scale. Don't panic. Problem solving. This is why we do this kind of thing. Okay, here we go. We're gonna pour all this in. I'm putting it back in this bowl, don't you worry. Okay. So 825. I need a calculator. 500 minus 339.
Your phone seem to have misplaced my phone in a small geographic area.
So I have to add 161 grams more. So I'm going to zero this. Yeah, you can take it here. Just give me a moment.
Well, just want to see if
161. Okay. I got all my ingredients and now I'm going to put it back in the bowl. That was stressful, I'm not gonna lie, but we're gonna keep on going. And if it doesn't work, I'm gonna know why. So that's okay. All right, so this is what I got so far. And then you mix this all in with, and some people I've seen use a tool, but Jill from Whispering Willow Homestead, who I've watched all of her sourdough videos, says she mixes it by hand. So that's what I'm doing. Well, it smells, I can smell the yeast, which is very cool. All little living organisms that are making this bread happen. I'm gonna use this very lucky dish towel that my mom gave me. Cover this. And I'm going to let it hydrate for half an hour before I come in to start my, what are they called? Lift and folds. I'm gonna lift and fold, I'm pretty excited. In the meantime, I have to go outside because Brian has managed to lose his cell phone in our little wood splitting extravaganza. So I'm gonna go help him do that. Before I go out, I actually have to feed some of the starter. I'm going to transfer Wally into a permanent glass jar. Oh, perfect. And my friend Wally told me he uses a chopstick. So I feel like that's lucky, so I'm gonna do the same thing. I also had a lot of anxiety about tossing the starter. Like, it's called the discard. So like, I froze a ton, I made an extra one, just as a backup to the backup. If I don't need the extra one, then I'm gonna give it to my friend Ryan. You know why people like making sourdough and sauerkraut and compost? They're all the same people. Because we like to grow good microorganisms. Like that is why. And so it actually surprises me that this is the first time in my life that I'm actually making sourdough, because like I'm a sauerkraut fanatic. I'm a compost fanatic, just because of the benefits that all of these microorganisms provide. But anyways, I digress. Okay, so here we go. There it is. The next step, this is gonna be, I'm gonna actually discard that. I'm gonna throw it away. The next step is just to use a rubber band or something to mark. Wally gave me the rubber band, so this is gonna be my lucky rubber band until it runs out, to mark where the starting line is. Okay? And then once it comes above the band, just a little bit, I'm gonna move this to the fridge for next weekend, for next loaf of sourdough. The reason why I moved to one of these jars is so that one of my mason tops will fit on there, and I'm gonna go put this over by the stove. All right, it's been a half an hour. We are going to do our first stretch and fold or lift and fold or whatever it's called. So this is what it looks like. I feel like that's what it's supposed to look like. So I watched 100 videos, like I told you, and everybody was pretty much saying you should use a wet hand. So here we go. Stretch and fold. One. Now look. Okay. So if we have a loaf bake that's bigger than this, I feel like that's success. So that's time number 1. We have to do that 4 times. So this is where like the whole part about being at home is like, it is a must, because if you're gonna do it right, you have to do this 4 times. So I'm gonna set the timer for a half an hour and put this back. I talked to you about the fact that over the last year, I've been doing some kind of learning more about myself, and I'm lucky enough to have access to a very good therapist who has been very good. And there's been this common misconception, well, for me anyways, that, therapy is for people who are extremely troubled. And all I'm going to say is that is relative. And so a good friend of mine recommended this therapist for me because she knew I was going through a hard time last year. And it has been life-changing. So if you are in a position where you are having any kind of struggles, and it could be, anything in your life, personal wellness, mental health, physical health, just kind of sorting through who you are as a person, I highly recommend it. Like I said, it has made the world of difference. And you may be sitting there thinking, well, Katrina, I can't afford a therapist. And that is totally legit because number 1, therapists are very difficult to find. Good ones are anyways. And number 2, not everybody, in fact, most people can't afford a therapist. So this is what I would tell you. Now, having been doing this for a while, is that you can find pretty good therapy for free online and through books. And I know this because a lot of what I do in therapy with my therapist is also happening on social media through people like Mel Robbins, Jay Shetty. I can't remember the other gent's name right now, but I'm going to post all of this in the link in the description box below because that is accessible to nearly everyone if you have access to the internet. And a lot of the messaging and activities and just talks that I have listened to on social media are the exact same things that I'm doing in therapy. Now, there is nothing really that replaces that one-on-one session, but there are things that will help you think about where you're at, where you have come from, and where you should kind of direct your energy moving forward. And I have found those things almost as helpful as the therapy, probably in conjunction with, but a lot of people, like I said, can't afford that. So do yourself a service. Start listening, picking out some Mel Robbins podcasts that, and essentially she interviews experts. Picking out some that kind of resonate with you or that you want to know more about, and one will lead to another, will lead to another. And so this fall, actually, what I started to do, because I just don't have a lot of time to just sit down and listen to a podcast and read books. So I picked audiobooks that spoke to me or that other people recommended that were helpful for them. And I'm going to do a whole video on the books and podcasts that meant the most to me. But for now, I'm just going to say, pick a good podcast, pick a good book. Read a book or audio book is great. And so what I did to be able to build these into my activities anyways was that I do start my warm up or I do any cardio listening. Actually, I like to watch YouTube better. So I watch one of Mel Robbins' podcasts or one of Jay Shetty's podcasts, they both have on these remarkable people who have done a lot of research into health overall, health and well-being overall. And I just spread it over the week. So if I, do a warm up for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, I'll watch that podcast, and I'll watch it even as I do my weights in the morning or my workout in the morning. And that's a way I can get it in. And it actually makes the whole experience so much more fun and doesn't make it so isolating when you're by yourself like I am every morning working out. And so I found that to really help. And I mean, it's everything from diet to mental health to becoming successful in business, all of those things. There's people for all of that. So tips and tricks on how to become a better person and overcoming anxiety and fears about failure and vulnerability. The reason why I started this YouTube channel, honestly, was because I wanted to, I really wanted to do it, but also it was overcoming the fear and the shame that goes along with putting yourself out there online. And so I just did it, and I keep doing it because I really enjoy teaching people. I want to share my experience because I know there are people out there who are in the same boat as I was, and in a lot of cases still am. And so maybe this will inspire you or them to kind of do something different. And that is the thing. You have to do something different to get out of the rut that you're in. Newsflash. And I was in a massive rut. I didn't realize how depressed and just literally disturbed I was until I started to do the work. And I have had so many revelations, personal revelations, in the last, whatever, it's almost been a year. So in the last like 6 months, no, more than that, probably 8 or 9 months, about who I am as a person, how I respond and react to things, and how I need to do things differently to make good change. And I am not perfect. Woof! I'm at the beginning of the road. I don't know that there is an end, but I'm definitely on the unpaved, really rocky, uphill portion. And I'm imagining this whole process is going to be uphill. But I have seen improvement and change, and that is the key. So if you are there, just start. This video happens to be coming out on December 31st of 2023. That is the time I'm filming it. It won't come out for a couple days because I have to edit it, blah, blah, and I'm going back to work. But that is just a coincidence because I literally have been putting off making sourdough for so long. And I said, I'm going to wait until January 1st, which is actually tomorrow. So legitimately speaking, I guess I'm going to hopefully bake my first loaf of sourdough tomorrow morning. But I didn't want to wait another day. And so I picked the 2 days that I knew I was going to be home and around for this to happen. And it just so happens that it's going to be on January 1st. But what a wicked way to start the new year by doing something that I've wanted to do for so long. And that is another really good message because most people, anybody who's a sourdough maker is going to be like, what the heck? Why did she wait so long? Because for me, it was overwhelming and I made 1,000 excuses why I couldn't. And so that can be with anything in your life. It could be with anything like exercise, drinking more water, eating better. There are a million different things that people do that we say, oh, tomorrow I'm going to do it, or the next week I'm going to do it. And my message is just do it today if it's feasible. And sourdough is totally feasible. Anyways, I'm going to bring you along for the next stretch and folds, lift and folds, whatever they're called. And to the end of this video where I'm hopefully going to bake a loaf of bread. Right now, I have to let Tilly outside because that is annoying. I'm also learning just to like breathe into these things that trigger me. So I'm going to let her whine it out. And then I'm going to go outside and split more wood. Okay, stretch and fold. Number 2 is about to happen. Okay, this process would be ideal for in-house jobs to be done in between, but it is tricky because it's hard to like get into anything outside before you have to come back in and do this process. Just being honest. Still very excited. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that's what it looks like. It looks a little different. It's getting big. So there it goes, little ball. In for another 30 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna set my timer for 30 more minutes. But the other thing, talking about cool resources, free resources online, there are so many wicked exercise and yoga videos online and Pilates. And so if you are in a place where you're wanting to have a healthier body and a stronger body, because for me, I don't really care like what my clothes fit like, but I care about how strong I am, especially after my shoulder injury. So I will link below some resources, free resources that I use online. And that is key, I find, is for some people, if you don't have a budget to spend on fitness, walking is free. Doing any kind of physical work outside is free, but also these online resources. So I do a lot of free online yoga classes, Pilates classes, and there's really great HIIT workouts online. There's some CrossFit stuff. The only challenge with anything online is the correction piece. So if you're doing something wrong, there's not someone there to tell you that you're doing something wrong. But there is a really great community of people out there that do this stuff more regularly and have coaches. So sometimes you can just ask them. We have to wait another half hour. I'm gonna go out and do more firewood. Guys, I came in here because I let Simon out. I'm sorry, Brian's chainsawing and I gotta show you this, so I'm not gonna go ask him to stop. I put Simon down with the chickens, and check this out. I just came in to check on him, but he used the stairs. Buddy, what are you doing in there? Simon, that's the chicken coop. This is hilarious. Oh, wasn't fast enough, but he just got down on his own. So now he knows how to do it. That's kind of fun. Nice to get some exercise, eh, Mo? What do you think? I don't have food. Eh? Hi. I don't have food. Okay, so there's my starter that I made, and it started to go above the line, so I'm gonna put it in the fridge for next weekend. Stretch and fold number 3. Okay, that's what it looks like. It's getting more stretchy. I don't know if that's supposed to happen, but I heard of something called the window pane effect, and I believe I'm seeing some of that. There she is. This is the last time. Next time is the last half hour. Busy filling the wood cart, finishing the firewood, and then filling the wood cart as I wait for this, doing all the jobs I love. Last, what's it called? Lift and fold or stretch and fold. So that's what she looks like. I need to set my timer and go have a shower. Okay, we are ready for the, what is it? The dough forming, the bread forming session part of this sourdough making. Ooh, that feels interesting. That's a very different, oh, that's very weird. It's the first time I've used rice flour for anything. And this is probably too much, but I'd rather not have my loaf stick to this thing. And I have got a resource here right beside me. I have my laptop right there. And I've been watching a video by, who's this guy? Your First Sourdough Bread for Complete Beginners by Brian Langerstrom. And it's been fairly good. So I feel like kind of he knows what he's doing. I also have a shower cap to cover the bread with once I've formed it. So this is my last folding series, but this time, and his bread looked really different than I think mine's gonna look, but whatever, he's a pro and I am not. I actually have no idea what I'm doing. He flours the bread and he flours the surface and he turns his dough out. That's what it looks like this time around. So I'm gonna flour, probably should be using rice flour, but I'm gonna flour the top of the surface. And then, see, this doesn't look anything like all the people that I've watched on YouTube. Their loaves look very risen, but that's okay. We're gonna go with it here. My gosh, this might actually work. This looks like promising, you guys. And then he goes around a couple more times. In this, I can't remember what it does, but we're gonna do it anyways because this is what the pros are doing. Tap, 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 tap. Stay on there. Tap, tap, tap. But like, I feel like this is something. Like, I feel like we have made something of ourselves here. I don't know, you guys. Can you see that? It looks like what this guy, like you can't see what he's doing, but it looks like it. So I'm just gonna say sure thing. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I'm gonna get my bowl. Ta-da. Then my buddy just scooped, whoa. And he did like this. And then he said, you put seam side up, boom, just like that. I'm gonna put my shower cap on it and put it in the fridge overnight. Happy New Year, everyone. Ugh, I am groggy and I didn't even stay up till midnight, but I'm tired. But today is the baking day. I don't think my loaf of bread is as big as it should be. I don't think it like rose a lot, but I don't know. So I've taken it out of the fridge. That is what it looks like. There it goes. Well, that was easier than I thought it would be. Well, this is a fun part. Okay, so she's a little flat, but hey, not bad for the first loaf. It looks like a tree with a moon beside it. There's nothing. Oh my gosh, you guys. Look at that. I cooked it for too long in the second time. Oh my gosh, this almost makes me want to cry. Seriously? I know. It's supposed to have this beautiful thing called an ear and like blah, blah, blah. But come on. For my first time, I'm not gonna say it's the best, but it's beautiful and it's gonna be edible. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Okay. Like literally today, I have been listening to a new book by Lewis, can't remember, called The Greatness Mindset. And this morning, I'm not even kidding, he was talking about failure and the importance of failure. And I'm not going to say that this was a fail by any stretch of the imagination, because it is absolutely not. And I am so darn proud of myself. Man, thanks, Wally, for all the tips and for the starter. For the first time, not too shabby. Okay, you guys, this has been cooling off for I just did a workout, so 45 minutes. And I cannot wait. I have to cut open this. Brian's gonna be sad because I didn't wait for him. And I've already, so the learning process, I texted a picture to my friend Wally, who is my sourdough mentor, and also gave me, oh, here comes Brian. Also gave me the starter. And I asked why I didn't have that really nice ear. Well, first, probably because it's my first time, but also he said, don't make these cuts too deep and probably too big. But look how pretty they are anyways. Do you want some of this? I'm cutting it open.
Sure.
Okay, so let's cut it open. And I'm gonna cut it right down the middle. Okay, so on other YouTube channels, they said to knock on the bottom. Sounds a little dense, but I really don't wanna ruin this pattern, but okay, here we go. Oh my God. Oh, she's tough. You guys, check it.
Out.
Oh my gosh. Okay, taste test. You ready? Seriously. Okay, you ready? Brian, look at those bubbles. All right, here we go.
Oh,
I did it! Thanks, Wally. Oh my gosh.
so doughy.
It is so doughy.
Mm.
And then when I get goats, we'll be able to bake a fresh loaf of sourdough and make goat's cheese. I shouldn't talk with food in my mouth. But if you're thinking about making sourdough, do it. It is quite time consuming, but totally doable. And the most delicious. Want more?
Oh yeah, but I was gonna.
And don't be afraid. If you fail, I still would have eaten it if it was a complete failure. maybe as French toast, but this is not, I mean, I could make French toast, but this will get eaten today, which I'm not sure is a good idea either, but so good. So hey, we hope you all have a fantastic 2024. Remember though, don't put pressure on yourself. It's just a day of the year. Every day could be the new year for you. So remember that. Do things that make you scared or that you're scared of. And don't be afraid of failure, because that's how you're gonna learn. I'm gonna make my, what did he call those? Decorative cuts a little bit shallower and smaller next time in hopes to get an ear. And I will probably make a video of it again, just to show you my learning process. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and year, and we'll see you next time.